Dr. Kitano, dear friends and colleagues at JICA Research Institution. Thank you very much for this invitation. I feel honored and humbled to be with you. From our side, the German Development Institute is in many ways quite similar to your research institute. As Dr. Kitano pointed out, there have been numerous contacts before, but just as we discovered this morning in a very brief conversation before starting the meeting, there is lots of opportunities and ample spaces how we as two institutions could exchange our knowledge and the empirical work, but also to discuss about future collaboration. So I'm very happy to be here with you. Maybe I can even take this book like this. So, and I'm particularly humbled by your kind invitation to talk about this program, Managing Global Governance. It has been going on since 10 years as a new program to establish, to transform the quality of relationships in the development arena between our German ministry and development actors in Germany and in what we call the southern powers, the rising powers of the south. So I wish to briefly cover in my introduction of not more than 30 minutes 4 major points. The first one would be introducing the MDG program, and here I brought along a short video clip of less than 9 minutes, which gives you some feeling of what the program is all about. The second would be understanding MDG achievements, and here I will present a case study on our work for voluntary sustainability standards. Since last week, I just returned from a full week of meetings in Geneva with United Nations organizations and the MDG network and a lot of other stakeholders on sustainability standards, and it occurred to me that this is really a perfect case to show you the achievement, our objectives and the achievements so far. Then of course it's very necessary and important to talk about the shortcomings and limitations. Finally, conclusion and way forward. And then I also wish to thank warmly Professor Lee for coming along and being here. And I'm very much looking forward to his presentation, or let's say response, because he will then, in a triangulation exercise, which you know so well from the evaluation, impact assessment, he will give you his perspective and experience. So you can get the complete story of us organizing the program and our partners. So I will start off with this brief movie just to give you a short introduction. Now it would be that there are 3 main elements of the program which are supposed to come together very closely and provide synthesis and synergies. The first would be the academy. That's a format where for 4 months now we invite a group of around 20 young professionals from our 6 partner countries to come to Germany. It's a program about capacity development, but most of all about dialogue. So the movie which you will see now is mostly about the academy. But recently, because we got additional funding from our ministry, the areas of what we call research or joint knowledge creation and policy dialogue have become also very important. I will say more about that later on. At this point, I wish to point out that the government, the Ministry for Development Cooperation, what we call BMZ, they have identified more than 10 years ago 6 countries, what we call southern powers, where they want to find this new quality of collaboration. So the focus is now shifting from supporting economic and social development in these countries to the collaboration on shaping, co-shaping global agendas. So these countries are seen as key partners from the South to move the global dynamics, the global work on sustainable development forward. So this I wrote down here what are the main thematic areas at the moment. You can have a look at it. You also got the printout, I see. So now let's move into, okay, this is a little bit theory, but I'll pretty much skip over it. Our director and colleagues are very much engaged in research on what are the fundamental factors and prerequisites for international cooperation. And they have distilled these 8 factors which are key to promote, to enhance international cooperation. And from our side, through the MDG program, we are sort of working on the, let's say, the top 4 ones, the we identity, to create new we identity, then the trust, of course, the communication, and the reputation through mutual recognition and collaboration. So let's move to the achievements. And here I have addressed 5 key objectives of the program, and I can show you how they have been achieved, I think, very successfully in this work stream of the MDG program on voluntary sustainability standards. This thing shows you a little bit how complex it is, the multi-stakeholder nature, and all the different levels that come together to build up that effort. It's a combination of policy, dialogue, knowledge creation, and also the engagement of the alumni. So the first top priority objective is, as MDG, to co-create, to influence, to shape global agendas. This is a very high ambition, I can tell you. If you really think about it in terms of serious impact analysis and try to make the causal links of what our work sort of contributes to the global process, it's very hard to make this case. But here in this area, I think we can rightly claim that we are contributing to the global process, to global discourses, and to the policy formulation, because through the MDG network's work on voluntary sustainability standards, we have set up a very close link to a group of 5 United Nations agencies that work in this area. They have come together as the UN Forum on Sustainability Standards under the leadership of UNCTAD, its UNEP, Environment, the UNIDO Industrial Development, International Trade Center, and the Food and Agriculture Organization. And we sort of built up a strategic alliance with the UNFSS, and we have been a major part. Last week I mentioned there were big international conferences in Geneva, a whole week, also sort of clustered around the WTO forum, where we come in and our partners, we have a significant impact to shape the global discourse and the policy evolution now at the domestic level, but also at the international level. I cannot go into details here. So that was the objective number 1, shaping global agendas. Objective number 2 is joint knowledge creation. Like my director Dirk said in the movie, we have come to the insight that knowledge as such does not automatically translate into effective policies and problem solving. Particularly if the knowledge is created in the north. It will be rejected by the actors, government, the research community, the general public in the south. So in order to come up with collective approaches to solving global challenges, the first step, the joint knowledge creation, needs to happen. So that only if actors, scholars, policymakers from the south are involved and have full ownership of the process of knowledge creation and policy formulation, then they will be ready to accept this and translate it back into the domestic arena. So this, to give you an example here, one area for the voluntary sustainability standards is key, is what impact they have on the small and medium enterprises. So to promote the process, we commissioned scholars and partners from our MDG countries to write domestic analysis of the situation of the voluntary sustainability standards in the SMEs. It lists all the partner countries here. So they did the study, then we together do the synthesis, and then we work on policy recommendations for the domestic but also for the international level. The big third objective is the multi-stakeholder dialogue, because we believe that the SDGs, the global transformation, can only happen if the different stakeholders come together. This picture shows a meeting at the Federation of German Industry of October last year, where we brought the different communities together. It's the partners from the MDG countries, the national standard bodies, but also scholars from our MDG network from the southern countries. Here we have also the BMZ, our government. Some of the MDG partners are also part of their respective ministries. We have ICEAL, it's in London based, a big platform for these voluntary standards. We have, at that time it was Joachim Reiter, the Deputy Secretary General of UNCTAD, and there the lady sitting next to me is the representative of the Environment Ministry in Brazil. So out of this very fruitful multi-stakeholder dialogue, we move forward. The fourth big objective is to strengthen the capacities of our partners, because only if they have very solid public sector, but also other areas of in business or civil society, only out of the position of strength can they become partners in the global process of joint solution problem solving. And here this is an event that happened this May this year in Brazil, where the broad range of partners in Brazil set up a national platform on voluntary sustainability standards. So it's the government, it's civil society, and it's the industry federation. So we brought in the whole MDG network to participate in that meeting in Brasilia and Sao Paulo to connect the Brazilians with the international level. Finally, to integrate the alumni, some of the alumni, or many alumni, have become very important partners in our efforts. And here we have this lady who already appeared in the movie. She's the associate professor at the Jawaharlal Nehru University, and she's leading, with others, our research project on the sustainability standards. And this shows her co-chairing a session last week at the International Trade Center on the sustainability standards. So let's move on the shortcomings. Now let's be very clear, we want to have a very self-critical and realistic assessment and understanding of what we achieved, but where we also have shortcomings and we need to further progress, and that will be something also very interesting to hear Professor Lee, how he responds to this. We definitely need to formalize the governance structures of the MDG network. Now it's very much centered and driven by Germany. Of course, with anything we do can only happen because our southern partners have their own interest. So the interests come together, there's a conversion. But we do not have a formal governance structure. So we need to have, that's our intention from the German Development Institute, we need to convince our ministry that they would accept to have regular partner conferences, like every 2 years, which we had at the beginning of the program. And we are also proposing a formal advisory committee where the southern partners would become, continually would participate in the decision-making and the strategic definition of the program. Then enhance the quality of the research. We need to go much deeper in our understanding what development really means, where we have the commonalities, and also where we have different perspectives and how to address that, still to move forward, for example, implementation of the sustainable development goals. So there's a lot of scope where we as think tanks and scholars, we can facilitate much more effective policy making through our knowledge creation. And then we must better address uncomfortable issues. And here I'm basically just to give what I mean by that. One thing is the implications of deep global transformation, also for the advanced societies, for example, for Germany, for Europe, in many ways, we're still scratching the surface. A lot of us still, we're very much in the mind of business as usual with a little bit of greening. But the crisis of the industrial civilization in a global perspective goes much deeper. And these are very uncomfortable questions which are self-reflective, for example, to Germany. Where do we really address that we need to change, fundamentally change our patterns of production and consumption? The other uncomfortable issue is, and maybe Professor Lee will also get into this, it's the contradictions within the South. You know, it's this Southern solidarity going back to Bandung 1955. It's very easily said. And of course, it is a genuine commitment and intent by the Southern countries and Southern powers. But once you break it down to very specific strategic orientations, national self-interest, of course, the contradiction arises. Now I really see it happening, for example, quite a dangerous development, you know, the geopolitical rivalry and competition between India and China, which has the potential to be very disruptive and damaging, you know. China has the Belt and Road Initiative, now India very much focused on the strategic alliance with Japan, on the Asia-Africa Growth Corridor. That's something, you know, I think it should be addressed more. And I really see a certain shyness. This does not refer to Professor Lee. He's very ready to talk these issues. But some of our Southern partners, you know, they want to stay away from that. They rather believe in what I would say is the Romans of South-South cooperation. So these are very uncomfortable, uneasy questions. It's not easy to start a conversation about that. Then to strengthen partner commitment, this also refers to the co-funding. There is a certain element of co-funding in the program, but the predominant source of financial resources coming into it still is from Germany. We want to change that. We want to sort of get a much stronger commitment institutionally, but also in financial terms. We think we can do much better in building the relationship with the alumni now. We have from this academy, you saw in the movie, gone on for 10 years. We are presently in the 15th course. We have 285 alumni. So it's a wonderful group of people that are very much in line, in tune and aligned with each other as global citizens, very much also in the arena of South-South cooperation. And they can do marvelous things if we bring them together. And then finally, this issue that's very important is to increase German and European participation. Now with the MGG Academy, we make the experience, we ask our partners, these are also government institutions or from the think tank, please send your young professionals to Germany for 4 months. This is a heavy investment and the partners are supposed to continue paying the local wages. They have to cover the air flight to Germany and back. And we're always gratified and overwhelmed with a positive response. This year we had 199 applications from the 6 countries, high caliber applications, very happy. Then for a number of years now, we turn to German institutions, including the BMZ, and tell them, look at this wonderful opportunity of peer networking, peer learning. Please send us your young professionals into the program for 1 month. Then they tell us, oh, I'm sorry, we cannot let them go. They're indispensable. We have so few staff, and this is schizophrenic. You know, I mean, this is really, really test the credibility of the whole program. But something where we will keep pushing, but so far we have not been successful. The most we have achieved that the BMZ will let their own staff come into individual modules which last 4 days to join the MGG Academy. So this is really a very sad state of the affairs, very damaging to us. So let's go to the final point, and then I'm through. So the conclusions and way forward, I would claim, and let's see how Professor Lee thinks about this, after the 10 years of existence, the MGG program is still unique in the global space. I do not see any other program that offers that rich menu of opportunities for collaboration, for policy dialogue, for research, with this specific nature of German-European interaction with rising powers, or southern powers as I call them, from the south, and are very much focused on capacity development, on very specific issues of high global urgency and priority. But then, of course, as I said already, there's a lot of potential to improve, to strengthen the impact of the program. One refers to the alumni network. I will not go into details here. The multi-stakeholder dimension. We have tried for a long time to attract companies, the corporate sector, industry federation. That's very difficult now. At the moment, we have one lady from Indonesia, from a palm oil company. That's very good to have her in the program for the 4 months, and we're learning a lot from her. Then lots more can be done with to connect the MUG network with global networks, because I think here we can also create synergies, and maybe that's something that we could also see if there the networks of JICA where you are engaged, that we can plan for some joint activities, so at least to promote the mutual recognition and see for opportunities for collaboration. And finally, create the knowledge for the transformative 2030 agenda. Here, this is the point that I referred to. We, as development scholars of development studies with a global framework, I think we need to play a key role to prepare, to generate the knowledge, and through our insights and the policy recommendations, to prepare major shifts, universal shifts in the global economy, in our societies, in the world societies, to to shift our process towards global sustainability. And here I think we can use the 2030 agenda and the Sustainable Development Goals as sort of markers, that guiding posts that move us forward. But it's a huge task, and we're just at the very beginning to understand the implications of fundamental restructuring domestic economies and the global economy. Thank you very much for your attention.
Thank you very much, Dr. for